Dabo Swinney's team has a fresh look. A veteran defensive front led by defensive end Vic Beasley looks to continue a legacy of Clemson success. From Clemson, South Carolina Memorial Stadium, this is the ACC on ESPN. The 2014 Clemson spring game, orange versus white, they're all Clemson Tigers. With Danny Cannell and Kaylee Hartung, I'm Carter Blackburn. It has been a tremendous 3-year run of success for Clemson football, but there's no more Taj Boyd, there's no more Sammy Watkins, which means big questions.
A lot of question marks. I may be biased, but quarterback is the most important position on the field. When you lose a guy like Taj Boyd, who has had such an impressive career here at Clemson, it becomes a big challenge to fill those shoes. But Dabo Swinney said he feels confident in the 3-man race they've got going on right now, and it is a heated battle. Each guy brings their own strengths to the table. Cole Stout and Chad Kelly, they're the guys with the most experience. They'll be going toe-to-toe today, but the guy that we won't see, that's the one that has fans a buzz, and that's Deshaun Watson, the early enrollee, who's been here this spring but will not play this afternoon.
And for more on that quarterback position, here's Kaylee Hartung.
Deshaun Watson, the top-ranked dual-threat quarterback in the 2014 signing class, cracked his collarbone in a scrimmage on Monday. Coaches insist this is not a serious injury, just a minor fracture, but he will sit out 3 weeks. He will resume regular activity when the May workouts resume for this team. Now, while we won't see him under center, we will see him in a very active role on the sidelines today alongside offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach Chad Morris. Morris says he will be asking for the play calls from Watson. It'll be a chance for him to better understand how Watson looks at plays, reads, and protection. A chance for mental reps for Deshaun Watson today.
It is a spring game. It is orange versus white. Here's why this game matters for Chad Morris and for Brent Venables and Dabo Swinney and the rest of the coaching staff. The loser of this game, the coaches have the early wake-up call when Clemson summer camp comes around. There is also an early morning workout for the players next week. The winner of this game does not have to participate in that early morning workout. The loser of this game has to wake up and play ball early on. So, yeah, it's a spring game, and yes, it's a scrimmage, but now there is something on the line here at Memorial Stadium in Clemson, South Carolina. It'll be the orange team who gets the football first, which means we see Chad Kelly, the sophomore from Niagara Falls, New York, the nephew of Hall of Famer Jim Kelly.
Yeah, the one word in talking to the coaching staff about Chad Kelly, the one word that kept coming up was competitor. And I love that. He plays with a lot of emotion, and he wants to win this quarterback battle and take the helm here at Clemson.
Kelly on first down. Hands off to Zach Brooks, the junior running back from Jonesboro, Arkansas. And as much as the quarterback position is up in the air, the running back position also very open for Clemson.
Yeah, no doubt. The running, it always comes back to quarterback, though, Carter. It's the most important position on the field. The running backs, they can kind of, they can all get reps during the season, but the quarterback, you need to find your guy.
Kelly's first pass complete on the outside. That's Adam Humphries who takes it near the 40-yard line. Humphries, the senior, who will play a big role for the Tigers in 2014.
Yeah, he's the lone guy coming back that's really stepped into a leadership role now by default because Sammy Watkins is gone. DeAndre Hopkins gone for a couple years, so Adam Humphries steps in that role.
Complete again to the outside. That's Daniel Rodriguez, the senior Army veteran. He's 26 years old, and Dabo Swinney was excited about getting him some action today. And you hear a nice round of applause from the Clemson fans who know the background of Daniel Rodriguez, who served in both Afghanistan and Iraq. Kelly batted down and incomplete. Looks like Tavares Barnes got a hand on it.
Yeah, the big defensive end realized he couldn't get to Chad Kelly, so he threw up a big mid up there. And as I watch this offense go, they're going up tempo, which has kind of become Chad Morris's MO. I watch the quarterbacks, and they make quick decisions, and it really helps the quarterback get into a rhythm. As Chad Kelly came out, completed his first 2 passes, that one batted down.
Kelly's going to scramble out of the pocket, break a tackle, mark down. We'll see, right around the 46 of the first contact. And, of course, that's part of a spring game as well. Unlike a couple of scrimmages, they're not going live today.
Yeah, a little design quarterback draw. You saw Chad Kelly act like he was going to pass, then tucked it and ran right up the middle. Nice hole created by the offensive line. And if you're watching this game and you're not familiar with spring games, then why don't they tackle the quarterbacks? They actually did tackle the quarterbacks. They went live for 2 scrimmages in the spring, and that's when Deshaun Watson got hurt.
The opening drive of the Clemson Spring Game 2014. It's the orange team punting to the white team. It's Carter Blackburn, Danny Cannell, Kaylee Hartung from Memorial Stadium in Clemson, South Carolina, where the quarterback battle, 3-way quarterback battle, 2 of them healthy for the spring game. That takes the banner headline for Clemson football moving into 2014. Who is going to replace Taj Boyd? So we saw Chad Kelly on the opening series. Now it's Cole Stout, the senior from Dublin, Ohio.
Cole Stout, the unquestioned most experienced quarterback in this group. He's a guy, unfortunately for him, he came to Clemson at a time when they had one of their best quarterbacks in program history in Taj Boyd, so he's been playing the role of backup. Now he's trying to take advantage of this opportunity and become the guy.
Handing off on first down, that's DJ Howard, the senior. Rushed for 213 yards last year. Stout, the senior from Dublin, Ohio. His dad, Cliff, was an NFL quarterback after a career at Youngstown State. Mostly a backup to Terry Bradshaw with those great Steelers teams. Now Cole Stout trying to win the job here at Clemson. Gives to Howard again. Bouncing the outside. Howard carrying the rock here at Clemson.
DJ Howard, we just talked about Cole Stout being the leader of the quarterback group. DJ Howard, the clear leader from just a leadership standpoint. Not necessarily the best guy, most talented at that position. He's a great back, but the guy that's kind of stepped up in that leadership role.
Third down, opening drive for the white team, and that's Howard again, and he appears to be stopped short of the first down by Troll. Third down, opening drive for the white team, and that's Howard again, and he appears to be stopped short of the first down by Tony Stewart, the senior linebacker.
You know, the coaches split up the squads to try to create an even matchup, so you're not seeing the 1s versus 2s or the 2s versus 1s. You're seeing kind of a mishmash unit, and it's always a little bit more of a struggle for the offense to execute. Because the defense, it's easier for them. They just go get the ball. Offense, you've got routes to run, you've got blocking schemes up front. It's always a little bit more of a challenge for the offenses to move the ball in these spring-type situations.
No return on the punts. Humphreys fair catch after a good punt from Pinion at the 25. So we know that Taj Boyd and Sammy Watkins are on. When we come back, we'll give you Dabo Sweeney's Sean Watson, who is expected to and will compete for the quarterback position. He's in the sling today with Jack Kelly there on the sideline. And he take us through the rest of the offensive prospectus.
Well, obviously, Taj Boyd, the quarterback position, we talked a lot about that. Wide receiver, you're losing one of the most prolific receivers in ACC history. And then running back. And Roderick McDowell had a great year. You think about the running backs that have been through here, Andre Ellington, C.J. Spiller. You know, just looking at the different guys that have come through. And then wide receiver, a lot of youth at that position. Some guys that are early enrollees that are looking to make an impact right away when they step on campus.
That's complete to the outside. Kelly's now 3 for 4. T.J. McCullough, the sophomore tight end, makes the catch.
That's the trend. It's really kind of the last decade has taken over. It's been the early enrollees, the guys that graduate early so they can get in. It is like getting kind of a bonus redshirt year. If you can get in, learn the playbook, then when you get to August camp, you're that much ahead of the game.
That's Brooks straight ahead, push back. You mentioned earlier the run of running backs. They've had 3 straight years of a 1,000-yard rusher at Clemson. Maybe more running back by committee in 2014, you think?
I think that definitely could be the case, but I think this type of offense, it's kind of a misperception. The same thing that you have with Chip Kelly and the Eagles. Everybody thinks of that as a pass offense. Same thing with Chad Morris's offense here. Just because it's fast, up-tempo, doesn't mean they're chucking it all over the place. They're going to establish that ground game.
Adam Teasdall will punt it away, and again, it's all fair catch here in the spring game. But that's why you get the punt unit out there. Teasdall bobbles it a little bit, gets the kick away, but it only gets around the 43. So whether it's all fair catch or not, still get him out there. Just a 24-yard punt. I mean, this is these are the key offensive positions to fill. Those are.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about Taj Boyd, who had an outstanding career here. You look at him as what he's done in the ACC. Sammy Watkins is going to be probably a top 5 pick in the NFL draft. And then Martavis Bryant, the guy on the other side of the field that not a lot of people talked about, but he was a threat every time. And you can't just have one guy. You have to have a couple guys in this offense so that you can keep defenses honest.
Here's Cole Stout on the roll. It's tipped and knocked away by T.J. Burrell, the sophomore from Goose Creek, South Carolina. Nice play.
And both these offenses struggling a little bit early here to kind of find their rhythm. And I like what Chad Morris is doing offensively. He's calling easy plays, easy passes, help the quarterbacks get their confidence. I'm sure their nerves are up. You know, this is a big moment for them. They want to shine.
Stout pulls it. Contact made after only about a gain of a yard. So we came on the air talking about how the defense may be leading the way in 2014 for the Tigers, and here it's playing out in the spring game early on.
Yeah, the front 7 defensively for Clemson, and I know they're split up now, but really Vic Beasley, leads the charge. But across the board, 6 out of their front 7 are seniors.
Stout zips that one to near the 50, short of a first down, but Jordan Leggett, sophomore tight end, makes the catch.
And don't forget, too, I mean, spring practice is the end of spring ball. So the defense has seen a lot. They start to recognize routes. They start to recognize when they can come up and, jump the quick routes. So I think, they're going to have to see some of these offenses open it up a little bit, maybe take some shots down the field.
Bradley Pinion will punt this one away from right around the 35. And it's another good one. Fair catch inside the 10. So we showed you the offensive prospectus for the Clemson Tigers. Here's Brent Venables' defensive prospectus.
Not too much when you look in terms of star power, but they did, Prashad Breeland had an outstanding year last year as cornerback. But Vic Beasley, really the key returner they've got back. There'll be a couple, the question mark for the defense is the secondary, but they're really confident in the athletes they've got. They've got great talent. It's just they need to go out there and they need to learn the defense, kind of, get those reps under pressure.
Kelly's pass tipped, nearly picked off. For Dara Tankersley, the sophomore. Remember a few years ago when Clemson got humiliated in the Orange Bowl by West Virginia, and they brought in Brent Venables from Oklahoma to try and shore up the defense, and here it is what will be his third season, and it may be the defense who is the anchor of the Tigers in 2014. And handoff goes to Wayne Gallman, stopped at the 10.
I think it'll have to be. I mean, I know the coaches have a lot of confidence in these young quarterbacks, whichever one they decide to go with out of the three. But just schedule alone, on the road at Georgia, on the road at Florida State, you're going to have a tough time with that. So it's going to have to be a case where you're going to have to deal with some freshman mistakes at quarterback. If your defense can pick up that slack, you've got that much more going for you.
That is 2 out of the first 3 weeks of the season at Georgia and at Florida State. Chad Kelly is going to be whistled down back near the line of scrimmage.
They would have never pulled down Taj Boyd after that one right there. I'm laughing because we got our guy Taj who's going to join us here in a minute. And it's always a little bit deceiving when they've got the purple jerseys on, because the defense is always going to say, I got him, I would have had him. Even if they just put a finger on him, they always make that assumption. Some quarterbacks, if it was myself, they definitely would have had me. But these young guys, I guarantee you they would have escaped some of these.
Teasdall hits it from the end zone. Fair catch called for right around the 45-yard line. So 7:15 to go in the first, and Taj Boyd has joined us here in the booth. And the question for everybody around Clemson football is, how in the world are we going to replace Taj Boyd after the run of success you had? So, Taj, how in the world do you replace yourself, Clemson football?
Well, I mean, I think this is a steady program that's being built, and that's the best part about it. There's something in the works to the point where, you know, we're just going to keep on continuing to improve every year. And that's what ultimately what I want. Like, I don't want anybody to say that he's, you know, ultimately you want to be the greatest quarterback ever play or whatever. But at the same time, it's like if it doesn't happen, then we're not getting better. We're not improving as a program and as a team. So very confident that whoever the starter is going to be, got a chance to go to a few practices and just love the effort from the guys.
First deep shot from Stout draws a pass interference.
Give us a little bit of your assessment of what the three quarterbacks bring to the table.
Well, that's the thing. They're all a little bit different. Okay, I'm going to start off with Cole. He's the older guy. I know Cole. I've seen Cole. He's came in and, you know, stepped in when I went down. He stepped in, and I've got a chance to witness him and watch him perform on this field, in the same arena, to go and compete, lead the team, go drive the ball down the field. And he's very confident in what he does, can, you know, throw the ball all over the place, and very accurate. Then you got Chad. You know, Chad is a little bit different. His game's more versatile. Kind of like a wild child sometimes, you know, but there isn't a more competitive guy on this team than Chad. You know, he wants to win at all costs, and that's the great thing about him. And then you got Deshaun, you know, the young guy who's everybody wanted to see. And I got a chance to honestly go to practice and watch him, and I've never seen a guy at that age with that much poison and, you know, the way he holds himself on the field. So it's been good watching him, man. And, you know, again, I got a chance to talk to Coach Sweeney about the whole situation. And it's going to be an ongoing battle, man. So,
yeah, so this, obviously, we don't see Watson in this spring game, but you and Coach Sweeney and everybody else expects this three-way quarterback battle not to be wrapped up in the spring and maybe not even in the fall. Stout has a touchdown pass to add to that quarterback resume. Mike Williams makes the grab.
Yep, good corner cat hot right there, man.
Yeah.
You know, read it out. It's good by the young guy right there. And the best part about the way practices changed this year is that they're live in practice. When they scrimmage, there are no purple jerseys. You know, everybody's live. So, you know, some coaches are kind of weary about that. But if you want to know who you have back there, then you got to have live bullets out there, man. So it's fun watching these guys compete.
I think that was the case there of a guy like Cole Stout who's been around, he's seen the corner blitz.
Right.
He was able to recognize it, get it to the right guy. And that's the thing about Chad Morris's offense. There's going to be a place to go with the football.
Always going to be a place, man. So
Pinion gets the PAT after the first touchdown. Well, more with Taj Boyd in a moment, but Cole Stout trying to show that he's the next guy to quarterback the Clemson Tigers. Touchdown. On a sunny spring day in Clemson, South Carolina, it's the Clemson spring game. Cole Stout to Mike Williams for the first touchdown of the game. A chance to tell you that later tonight on ESPNU in Ohio, it's the top bowling program in the nation on the line. The NCAA Women's Bowling Championship presented by Northwestern Mutual. That's tonight, 8 Eastern ESPNU. Carter Blackburn, Danny Cannell, Kaylee Hartung, and Taj Boyd joining us. And speaking of bowling, Orange Bowl, right. A win over Ohio State, a huge step for the program. What was the best part of the bowl experience and the win?
You know, I think ultimately, you know, a lot of the guys enjoy the beach, they enjoy the weather. I mean,
the fountain blue, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So, you know, it was a change of pace. Because last time we stayed at the other hotel.
Right.
So we was like, we want to stay at Fountain Blue. We made it happen, but you know, I don't swim, so you know, it wasn't a big deal for me. But you know, just getting a chance to.
Breaking free, that's Wayne Gallman, the redshirt freshman running back from Loganville, Georgia.
Gallman was a guy that the coaches were really high on as well in this running back race that's wide open. Nice hole by the offensive line. I mean, that's another, the question mark at offensive line. Good to see them creating some space for the running backs to run through.
This is Nick Schuessler in at quarterback, sophomore QB. He's going to hand off to Zach Brooks there. We saw Gallman break there for 25 yards. Schuessler's in at quarterback. Schuessler, rather. What does he break for the Clemson Tide?
Schuessler, honestly, is a very, very good quarterback. And the crazy part is, you know, it's tough because you can get lost in the shuffle with all the guys competing. But, you know, Schuessler is such a great teammate, man. Like, the guy, he pushes you, he competes with you. That's my roommate right now, man. So he's a very good friend of me. And, you know, you just got to love the guy, man. He goes out and just competes.
How do you think the quarterback dynamic is? Because I've been in part of some quarterback races where guys don't like talking to each other. You know, it just gets nasty. But I've been in some where it's, you know, it's everybody's rooting for each other. How would you describe this one?
Yeah, that's the funny part because it just depends on where you're at. You know, but for here, it's a very mutual, you know, relationship here with the guys. And the crazy part is, like, Coach Morris like did something a little different this year than last year. They go out for a QB dinner every week. You know so,
that's kind of nice.
I was like, he's like, look, we got to build this relationship, this chemistry over here. You know, so I mean, if you got all these guys competing day in and day out, man, and you know, got some people saying this, some people saying that, and they feel like they're better, but ultimately you got to do something to kind of break that barrier a little bit, man. So that's a great thing that he's doing.
Schuessler's moving it here. Completion to Adam Humphries on the slant. And now a handoff to Wayne Gallman again. How's preparations for the NFL draft going for you?
Preparation is going really well, man. You know, ultimately I'm training every day. And the weird part is, like, once you finish working out, it's like, what do you do for the rest of the day?
Yeah.
You know, so,
golf. You got to work on that golf game.
I should work on my swing, but it's going really well, man. Had some great visits. Took a couple trips, man. So, I mean, I'm just really looking forward to the process. And, you know, with the draft, rookie camp starts the next week after the draft this year since it got pushed back. So I'm just trying to make sure I'm in the best shape possible, man, and just be ready for whenever my name gets called.
You've been working out at the Mistroli Passing Academy down in South Florida, but how hard is it for you when you hear different projections? You know, I mean, that was really tough for me because you heard certain things, right. And, you know, they're all over the board.
And that's the thing, man. Like, you just never really know. Like, and you got some people saying this and that, but some of those people aren't the same people that's making decisions. So, you know, for me right now, it's all about just making sure that my mentality is positive, that regardless of the situation, if I go first round, second round, third round, wherever, that I'm going to continue to be that more competitive guy, that more humble guy. And wherever I get the opportunity, I'm going to make the most out of it for sure.
That's Daniel Rodriguez, the 26-year-old Army veteran who makes his second catch of the game and gets another nice round of applause from the Clemson folks. So Schuessler from inside the 30. He's going to be touched back around the 35. What was it about Chad Morris's offense that you think really clicked? I mean, obviously, you and Sammy Watkins and the rest of the group put up tremendous numbers the past few years. What do you think worked the best?
You know, just once he gets comfortable with you know, you being out there, going out there and playing free. Like, the offense is a lot more complex than a lot of people think. You know, they think it's just this and that, but if you get on the board and break it down, then you start to see all the different things that evolve throughout the plays. And, you know, once you get a little bit more comfortable with the system, once you get involved, there's so many things that you can do. by just playing. So that's the great part with Sammy. That's the great part with Newt, because when you step on the field, you start to see things differently than what it's supposed to look like. So this route could change accordingly and this and that. So, this is great.
How much of an advantage do you think that gives Deshaun Watson having played in a similar type offense in high school?
It makes the transition not so bad. And that's the thing. I think that's why he's so comfortable when I watch him, is because he has been doing the same thing for the past 4 years, broken every record in Georgia and this and that. So, for a guy like that, the learning curve isn't as bad. So.
Credit Vic Beasley with a sack here on Nick Schuessler. Beasley gets in the backfield. And I'm sure you've seen that guy breathing down your neck a few times in practice.
We were talking about quarterbacks going live. Did you go? How many springs did you have to go live?
Never went live.
None? Oh, man. And he's sitting there saying how great it is to put him live.
It's an alumni perspective right there.
That's right.
So Beasley's sack forces another punt. Andy Teasdale on to punt it away. Fair catch right around the 16-yard line. So Schuessler's backing up both quarterbacks, backing up both Kelly and Cole Stout. Stout led the touchdown drive for the white team. So we'll see whether it's Schuessler or Stout coming back out.
As we talk a lot about offense because with you, but you know the defense really well because you've been going against them. That's pretty much what people are saying. The offense could struggle. The defense could be one of the best we've seen.
And that's the thing. The offense, in reality, it's a little unknown right now. I'm still waiting to see. But we do know we're dealing with the defense right now. And those guys are stacked right now. Cody Venables has his guys. He has what he wants to do. He got it down pat. The guys are comfortable running it. And you know what, man? That D-line is going to be a terror this year for some guys, man. So secondary's improved. Mackenzie Alexander looks really good. I know that we were high on him coming in. And all these young guys, man, Adrian Baker, etc. So I'm so excited to see these guys perform and compete.
That's Tony Stewart at linebacker making the play there on C.J. Davidson. It is Schuessler quarterbacking on this side as well. Complete across the 20-yard line to near the 23. That's Jordan Leggett, sophomore tight end.
As you're watching this game, since you're so recently removed from it, are you watching kind of saying, I would have done that, I would have done this? Or are you just kicking back and relaxing?
Yeah, and you know how it is as a quarterback. Regardless of if you're engaged or disengaged, you're always going to find a way to kind of put yourself in the moment, man. And it's like playing a video game. I'm over there trying to recover this playing Madden, man. So, you never get away from it.
There's a player down. That's Josh Watson, the senior defensive tackle from Wilmington, Delaware, who's down right now on the field in this spring game. One of the 6 senior defensive linemen. 6 senior defensive linemen. That is depth up front. And that's one of the reasons why people are looking at the Clemson D saying could be very solid, and hopefully Watson's okay.
That's what Brent Venables, the defensive coordinator, told us yesterday. He said, a lot of people are going to talk about Vic Beasley, the All-American. He said, but it's the depth at the position, being able to roll guys in, especially play against these fast-paced offenses like Clemson, like you're seeing across the country now. You have to be able to roll guys in and out.
So here is the play where number 91, Josh Watson, went down in the middle of a pack.
He just gets rolled up. See an offensive lineman just roll up on his legs. And that's really the biggest fear. Everybody's talking about quarterback, battles at positions, but really every team wants to get out of spring healthy. Make sure there aren't any major injuries. Get your work and get out of here. It's good to see Watson getting up.
Worth repeating, we talk about injuries. And Deshaun Watson, you first hear that he cracked his collarbone on Monday, and you see him in a sling, but they expect him to be back on the practice field 2 to 3 weeks, very much ready to compete for the job through the summer and into the fall.
Right.
That was one of the things that Coach Sweeney talked about, Deshaun Watson, was the smooth, calm demeanor as a young man stepping in just after early enrollee from high school.
Right. And I think that's just one of the things about him, man. He just carries himself that same way.
Carter Blackburn, Danny Cannell, Kaylee Hartzon, joined by Taj Boyd. Schuessler, the backup.
Well, 4th and short, trying to get the defense to jump off sides, seeing what they could dial up. Nothing doing, though, from the defense. Good job holding their water.
Well, speaking of the defense and how solid they can be in 2014 for Dabo Swinney, I mean, the numbers aren't just at defensive line. You have 7 returning starters, 27 returning lettermen. I mean, really, the cornerback position that you were talking about, Taj, with Mackenzie Alexander and others hopefully stepping up there, that's really the biggest question mark on the D.
For sure. And, you know, we recently lost Brashad Breeland. You know, he's going into the draft. He's a great player. But I expect guys to step up and make some plays. Gary Peters is another guy that I'm high on. Been a tremendous player for us, so I'm looking forward to it.
How big is it for Clemson to get over that hump, the South Carolina hump? Because you guys are starting to do things. You got your BCS win. You beat the SEC teams. It's just that South Carolina one. It almost seems like it's a mental thing at this point.
Honestly, I think it is a little bit. I don't think it's necessarily so physical or this and that. I think it's just getting over it and that edge. And, you know, that's the thing that's the difference between, you know, us being in the BCS and being in the BCS championship game. Like it's like small things, but I mean we got to find a way to get a chance to get over it, man. And I don't know, it's a crazy situation. Man. You got a ball right there.
Big shot downfield, complete. That's Daniel Rodriguez, the early receiving star of this spring game, the 26-year-old Army vet.
Remember we talked about the short passes, needing to set up a deep one. There you see Kelly hanging in the pocket. I believe Rodriguez ran a little bit of a double move on the outside. Had the corner bite up, and he was wide open.
So Chad Kelly hits that one to Rodriguez for 30+, and now it's back on the ground to Zach Brooks.
All right.
7-0 here is the white offense, the white team offense has the only touchdown. That was on a Cole Stout touchdown pass. Nearing the end of the first quarter here. Chad Kelly and the orange team offense. Kelly zips that one to the 15-yard line. Mari Kitt makes the grab on a nice throw.
Beautiful timing throw. Threw it right on rhythm. Hit the receiver right out of his break. Very confident throw from Chad Kelly.
So getting it set with the clock rolling, and sure enough, Clemson will try and hurry up and get the play off. With 1 second. That takes us to the end of the first quarter. Taj, take us out with the one touchdown we've had in this game. It was Stout to Williams. Touchdown. Stadium in Clemson, South Carolina. This is the ACC on ESPN. The 2014 Clemson spring game. The white team a 7-0 lead. The orange team has the football now at the beginning of the second quarter. It's Chad Kelly, the sophomore quarterback from Niagara Falls, New York. On 2nd and 9, Kelly's pass is incomplete. Intended again for Daniel Rodriguez. It was Tavares Barnes, one of those senior defensive linemen who got the pressure.
Yeah, he was definitely under pressure. And even though you're wearing that purple jersey, you kind of Chad Kelly had to alter his throw just a little bit.
Number 9, Tavares Barnes.
And that's, talking about position battles, that offensive tackle, whether it's left or right. Dabo Swinney said those are the positions, both sides, that we want to shore up.
Forcing 3rd and long. So Kelly, play action, heaves it, and it is intercepted at the 1. Adrian Baker, redshirt freshman from Hallandale, Florida, intercepts it at the 1.
Yeah, Chad Kelly there just trying to do too much. A very kind of a young, inexperienced mistake, and I'm sure he knows exactly what he did wrong. Saw some pressure here, and then just forced the ball down the field, trying to make something happen. And 2 Clemson defenders right there to make the play. And, that's the thing. Everybody talks about Chad Kelly. He's a competitor. He's a fighter. He's a fierce competitor. He wants to win as much as anybody. It's sometimes you have to realize, hey, it's not the worst thing in the world just to take a sack, live to play another down. That's a safety.
That's a safety. DJ Howard wrapped up in the backfield in the end zone. BJ Goodson, the middle linebacker, makes a stop for a safety. What did we tell you about the 2014 Tigers in the defense?
It's going to be led by that front 7. Here they are. Great penetration up front. Playing on the other side of the ball. Son number 44, shoot that gap. And that's a safety all day. I mean, sometimes you think, hey, maybe you need a replay or anything. That was no chance of getting out of the end zone.
So an interception at the 1 and then a safety. So if you're, obviously here's the challenge of all the spring games and every scrimmage. You say good news for the defense, bad news for the offense. Kelly throws an interception near the goal line where you probably had 3 points. And then on the other side, unable to get it out of the end zone. Safety for Goodson. Well, we have a moment. Want to wish happy birthday to Dabo Swinney's sister-in-law, Lisa Lamb, and she is fighting breast cancer right now, and a lot of their family is with Lisa today. And Coach Swinney wanted to make sure to send along happy birthday wishes and well wishes to his sister-in-law, Lisa Lamb. Ties in one of the reasons why his foundation has an emphasis on fighting breast cancer. It's something that has been a part of Coach Swinney's family, and they raised a total last night of $350,000 at a star-studded event, including Joe Gibbs and Kirk Herbstreit, and it was a tremendously successful, record-breaking fundraising event last night for Coach Swinney, part of the spring game festivities.
Yeah, it was great. Dabo Swinney said when he got hired, he didn't know if he'd be here 1 year or if he'd be here 20. But he said the one thing he and his wife decided they wanted to make an impact on the community, and boy, has he done that here at Clemson.
Even had Herbie sign the Orange Bowl football with Ohio, with the score in Ohio State's loss. And that's what Joe Gibbs ended up buying from the celebrity auction, from the charity auction. So, well wished for his sister-in-law, and a record number raised last night.
Trouble on the exchange with that one in the backfield between Chad Kelly and Wayne Gallman. You see, and this is a lot of the part of the Chad Morris offense. It's ball handling. And that one looked like the running back thought he was getting it, and Chad Kelly's saying, hey, I'm not giving this one to you, and just a little bit of bobble in there.
Kelly, deep shot. It is Holden inside the 30.
Interception.
Another interception. This time it's Gary Peters who picks it off. That is interceptions for Chad Kelly on back-to-back drives. One of them at the 1, this one on the deep ball.
Yeah, this time again, maybe a forced throw. Now, you never know what the coaches are telling Chad Kelly back there in the huddle. Maybe they want to get a look at the receiver. Maybe they want to test the secondary. But that one clear. Chad Kelly's throwing the 9 route from the get-go and taking a shot, well covered by the secondary of Clemson.
So that's Gary Peters who has the interception. He had a pulled hamstring, cost him the spring. He is actually one of the players who was suspended for the opener, the Georgia game. Cole Stout, deep shot, incomplete. And then for Seconder.
Number 81, Seconder.
Cole Stout has the lone touchdown pass. The senior who actually had to back up Taj Boyd as a true freshman. They played him as a true freshman, so at this point you would like to have Cole Stout with a couple of years of eligibility, but only one for his senior year, and a chance to compete for that starting QB job. Again, you have Stout, Kelly, and Deshaun Watson in what is a very much a three-way battle, even though Watson injured, unable to play in the spring game. True freshman may work his way into that job after all. And there's another touch sack in the backfield.
A little sloppy going here offensively for both sides. Of course, he had the Cole Stout touchdown pass on a really a busted coverage. They brought the corner blitz and he exposed them, but should have been, you know, a tackle, not a touchdown. But this is what spring games are for. You make your mistakes now, you go back to the film room, you study them, and you try to correct them. But I think you're trying to figure out who your quarterback is as well.
That sack credited to Ebenezer Ogundeco, the freshman from Brooklyn's Thomas Jefferson High School. Their catch at the 38 by Alexander. A defensively minded spring game to start. One touchdown on the board so far in the 2014 Clemson spring game. Let's check in with Kaylee Hartung.
Carter, Chad Morris told us he was looking forward to having Deshaun Watson by his side throughout this entire game, and he didn't overstate that. Rarely will you find a moment where Deshaun is more than a few feet away from Chad Morris. Morris said that he wanted to see how Watson would look at plays, the reads, the protections. You can even see Deshaun Watson having conversations, particularly with Chad Kelly after those back-to-back interceptions. I can't hear what they're saying, but you're seeing those conversations. You're seeing him getting the mental reps that he needs.
Kelly takes a deep shot as he takes his shot. It's incomplete inside the 20, intended for Humphries.
Chad Kelly a little frustrated, didn't get good protection right there. Might have been able to hit that shot down the field as this side of the offense, the orange team, taking some shots down the field. They're really opening up the vertical passing game with not much success as of this point.
Kelly pulls it, touched right around the 44. Get back to Deshaun Watson and kind of what he brings. I mean, Dabo said he's never been around a freshman like him as far as composure.
In here in Taj Boyd said the same thing. You know, watching him practice, he noticed it. All the coaches said they noticed it. Carter, there have been, you realize, the last couple years, there's been a freshman sensation kind of pop on the scene that nobody was talking about.
Sure.
Could this be another one?
So
I think it's a viable question. You're at a program where you've got the talent around you.
Gallman with some wiggle takes it to the 45. He's a freshman. So you're saying
you had Manziel, who nobody knew about. Nobody knew. He was in a fierce battle.
I knew about him.
Oh yeah, because you went to his high school and all that. You had Jameis Winston, who people knew about, but I don't think anybody had the expectation that he would have the type of year that he did. And it's almost a similar type buzz around Deshaun Watson. I don't want to put that type of expectation on him, but there is this there's a buzz around him.
So are you saying early Heismanology for Deshaun Watson, that he is the next Johnny Manziel, he's the next Jameis Winston? He's on the sideline in the spring game. He hasn't even won the starting job, but I'm
not going off that ledge just yet, because the one thing that people did see from Jameis Winston was his performance in the spring game, and that's the one thing I think you should be bummed about, that you don't get to see Watson do that.
Kelly incomplete, intended for Rodriguez. And if you followed recruiting, as a lot of folks do, and especially around this part of the country, you know all about Deshaun Watson. He was a huge recruit, huge get, and it was really that piece of getting on campus, in practice, and demeanor, attitude, composure, knowledge of the offense that has kicked his stock up. Kelly completes over the middle. That's T.J. McCullough for a first down inside the 30.
Talking about the quarterback battle, it was interesting talking about the decision to go live, to have their quarterbacks open to live tackles. And talking to Chad Morris, he said he reached out to a couple people. Gus Malzahn, they had a quarterback competition last year, didn't know who it was going to be. And he talked to Kevin Sumlin a couple years ago, didn't know. Both those teams decided to go live, and I think both those teams, the decision worked out pretty well. And most importantly, it helped them discover who their quarterback was going to be, because it's a different game when you're out there live tackling.
Now, Deshaun Watson was injured in one of those live practices. That's brought a lot of heat on Dabo Swinney and others. Fair or unfair?
I think it's ridiculous. I don't think there should be any criticism of Dabo whatsoever. It's a rough game. I mean, you could twist an ankle in a 7-on-7 drill or running. I've seen guys tear ACLs, conditioning drills. It's part of the game. I like the risk that he took. I don't think there's going to be any, it's a minor injury. He's going to be out 3 weeks. He already got the experience he needed. I think it's invaluable, because you can't learn playing against air. You can't learn if the guys are whizzing by you and not tackling you. It's a totally different game when there's live bullets, so to speak.
That's Tavares Barnes who gets the sack there. Obviously not live today. Here comes another flag. We have a false start. That's Wayne Gallman.
False start. Number 9 offense. 5 yards from the previous spot. Still third down.
I remember, Carter, vividly being a freshman at Florida State, first spring practice, that they announced we were live, and I remember the cheers that were going on from the defensive side of the ball, and the coaches said it was the same reaction here. The defensive guys were hooping and hollering, saying we can't wait to hit a live quarterback.
Kelly pressured and takes another sack inside the 50. This time it's Grady Jarrett, the senior from Conyers, Georgia. Stephon Anthony, the linebacker, calls Grady Jarrett the nastiest dude on the defense.
Big guy on the interior of the defensive line. Great jump off the ball. You see him coming right against the center. Got great penetration and finished off the sack. And that's what this defense needs. They need that nasty edge. And what better place to come from than right in the heart of that defensive tackle position.
Eastall punts it away. Nice catch. Fair catch right around the 10.
And, I know that quarterbacks are struggling a little bit, but that wouldn't be what concerns me. I'm watching an offensive line that's struggling to protect the quarterbacks. Now, as a coach, if you're watching this film, evaluating it, you have to judge, all right, is my offensive line this bad, or is my defensive line and front seven this good? And right now it's probably a combination of both of those things. But that's the one issue, I think. The quarterback, the skill positions, the wide receiver, the running back, that'll work itself out. But the offensive line position, that's the one that they need to shore up.
Cole Stout back in at quarterback. Hands off. That's DJ Howard to the outside. Howard takes a hit Correction, it's Davidson. He fumbles it late. Scooped up by the Tigers. They're all the Tigers. Davidson loses it. Mike Williams there to cover it up.
How about this first move right there? Just a change of direction by C.J. Davidson gets to the outside, and as he's trying to pick up those extra yards, ball gets stripped. Number 31, Ryan Carter. Great job by the defense, stripping that ball.
That's an incompletion coming out. Impressive run, even though it ended with a fumble for C.J. Davidson. He's a guy who came to Clemson as a track athlete. Picks up 31 there. He was a long jump, triple jump, now on a football scholarship. It was actually DeAndre Hopkins, who was a high school teammate at Daniel High School just down the road, who pushed him to try and play football. And now C.J. Davidson right in that running back mix.
And he's a guy who could really excel once he puts all his energy and focus into one sport, into football.
Davidson takes it on the right side. This time there's the cutback, the sprint ahead, and he's dropped at the 45. And you see why C.J. Davidson has a lot of potential running the football.
Wow, you talk about the ability to go north-south. Cuts it back right there. Nice cutback, but he's still gaining yards as he's juking defenders.
Downfield, caught. That's Mike Williams inside the 20. Stout to Mike Williams. That's the only touchdown of the game was Stout to Williams. This time he goes for 30.
And that's, if I'm Cole Stout, I'm finding Williams. He's 6'3", 205 on the outside. That's a mismatch almost every time on the outside. Way to give him a jump ball.
Play action. Stout throws it away. He
Now,
was looking
Carter,
for Williams again.
Well, do you remember the play that Chad Kelly threw his interception on? It was very similar to that. He was rolling to his left. He had pressure, tried to force in the end zone. That's, I think, the difference between a veteran senior quarterback. Realized, hey, he got out there. I'm just going to throw it away, live another down.
Here's the other down. To the end zone. Caught. Touchdown. Leggett makes the grab. So, Danny, to your point, throw it away, have another down, and it ends up in 6.
Beautiful drive put together by the Clemson White offense. C.J. Davidson, a nice run, and then Cole Stout, beautiful touchdown pass, a little smash route to the corner of the end zone. Nice touch.
Second touchdown pass for Cole Stout, the senior from Dublin, Ohio. First touchdown was Stout to Williams. Now it's Stout to Jordan Leggett.
Clemson White offense starting to roll. The quarterback battle is getting heated.
Well, the Clemson quarterback job, who's going to replace Taj Boyd? That is the big question of the spring game. Now, coaches were definitive in saying the spring game isn't going to determine the race, but clearly Stout has the edge.
Yeah, he's really taken advantage of, it's been a struggle offensively, but he's had a couple opportunities and he's made the most of them.
Schuessler 3 for 3. He's been the backup for both teams. Schuessler not in the starting quarterback mix. Solid backup quarterback, but probably not in that starting QB mix. So the 3 quarterbacks who were competing, Kelly, Stout, and Deshaun Watson, who's not playing today because of injury. This is Chad Kelly, who's thrown 2 interceptions in the first half, including 1 near the goal line. Back out there with the Orange team offense.
Yeah, a couple forced passes early, one in the red zone that was costly for Chad Kelly, and the other one just taking a shot vertically down the field on a 9 route. The defense made a pretty good play on. I always like watching a quarterback after he's thrown a couple interceptions, see how he responds. That'll be interesting for me to watch, see what Chad Kelly does from here on out.
On 2nd and 9, out of the backfield, that's Zach Brooks. Takes a couple pops, only gets a couple yards. It's going to be 3rd and long again. Grady Jarrett leads the way, the defensive tackle. Zach Brooks, junior running back from Jonesboro, Arkansas, was the 3rd leading rusher behind McDowell and Taj Boyd last year. With a TD grab in the win over Georgia, one of the biggest plays of the year for the Tigers. Pressure on 3rd and 7. Kelly completes. That's Adam Humphries, the senior who goes up to get it. Humphries, who is from Spartanburg, South Carolina, and yesterday when he walked into his meeting with us, had his Augusta National Masters shirt on. You gotta love that.
I was jealous too, but what a catch by Humphries, climbing up the ladder to get that one.
That's Zach Brooks as Clemson goes hurry up, the Orange team offense. Adam Humphries in his scouting report of the quarterback said Deshaun Watson has actually played on his intramural basketball team. Watson's a pretty good basketball player, but Humphries said he loved his attitude not only in the football practices, but the intramural basketball team as well. I'm guessing that's a pretty formidable foe if you're playing intramural basketball, and Humphries and Watson are on the team. It's intended for Daniel Rodriguez. Mentioned earlier, he's an Army veteran. He graduates in December, and Hollywood is already calling about his life story. He was a sergeant in the U.S. Army from 06 to 2010. Actually earned a Purple Heart at the Battle of Camp Dash, served in both Iraq and Afghanistan, and when he graduates in December, the Daniel Rodriguez story will likely be coming to a movie theater near you. 26 years old, Dabo Swinney raves about what it's like to have a mature 26-year-old Army veteran as part of your program.
I can't underestimate, what it means to a program to have that type of perspective. Just to kind of keep guys. You get a lot of guys. They're 4- and 5-star recruits. They've been recruited. They've been coddled. They've been given the best facilities in the country to play at. And then you get a guy who's been, in battle. He's been shot at. He's, had to go 16 hours without food, and or whatever the case may be. And for him to be able to just show his appreciation to be a part of this team, I think that attitude is infectious in a locker room. I wish the NCAA would allow every team, give them one scholarship.
Timeout, Orange. That's the first Orange timeout of the half.
Give each team a scholarship that's designated for a veteran, somebody who served in our armed forces, and let them that just be for that person. Even if it's an 86 scholarship, an extra one, whatever the case would be, I would love to see that happen. I think each team, it would just do wonders for.
I like that idea a lot. Springtime, that means lacrosse, and it is a huge matchup on ESPNU tonight, 6 o'clock Eastern Time, 4th-ranked North Carolina against number 7 Syracuse. That is a critical ACC lax matchup. It is the Warrior game of the week. North Carolina versus Syracuse tonight, 6 o'clock Eastern, ESPNU, and of course on the Watch ESPN app. Carter Blackburn, Danny Cannell, Kaylee Hartung from Memorial Stadium, Clemson, South Carolina, for the 2014 Clemson spring game. Hits right around the 10 and rolls back out to the 21. Rodriguez, by the way, Daniel Rodriguez, 3 catches, 52 yards in this game.
That's the thing that I think is getting overlooked. Everybody thinks it's a great story because of what, hey, he'll just be a part of the team. But Dabo Swinney said he's made himself into a really good football player who's going to contribute on the field next season. And you're seeing that today.
It is the white team offense back out there with Nick Schusler quarterbacking them, the sophomore from Grayson, Georgia. Originally signed with Mississippi State. Handing off, there's DJ Howard breaking free across the 50, down inside the 45. Ryan Carter finally makes a stop.
Carter, you mentioned the fact this could be a running back by committee, and I think you're seeing some guys making some really strong cases for that point. Here, another nice hole opened up by the offensive side, the right side of that offensive line. And DJ Howard showing some of that next level speed.
35-yard pickup for the senior from Lincoln, Alabama. He's been bothered by injuries throughout his Clemson career. On the screen to the outside. Adrian Dunn makes the catch there. Schusler on 2nd and 4.
Ball whistled dead for a sack. I believe they're going to get Schusler.
Chance for us to check in with Kaylee Hartung.
Carter, Damari Kitt, one of the early enrollees that this team was looking forward to seeing on the field today, just got his right ankle checked out by trainers, but then he gave Jeff Scott the thumbs up that he was good to go back into action.
Yeah, there's a look at his play when he did kind of get his ankle rolled up just a little bit. Probably threw some tape on there, ready to go.
Schusler completes to the outside. That's Seckinger, junior tight end from Porter God School, Isle of Palm, South Carolina. Schusler, who is supposed to be lined up somewhere on the depth chart at quarterback, has been pretty solid running the offense as well. 4th and 1 here for the white team offense. Howard on 4th and 1 converts. First down to right around the 30-yard line. DJ Howard converts on 4th and 1. Crawford there on the stop. We have a timeout with 4:19 to go. When we come back, we'll hear from Sammy Watkins.
Matt Schick here, coming up at halftime in just a few minutes. Heisman Trophy winner Jameis Winston takes the field in Tallahassee. Other spring game highlights for you. James Franklin era begins at Penn State, and Bo Pelini's cat makes an appearance in Lincoln. You heard that correctly. See it, huh?
Matt, that is one heck of a
great
tease. Great tease for halftime. We have Les Miles kissing pigs, Bo Pelini's cat, spring ball.
Carmen, sign me up. I'll be watching.
Carter Blackburn, Danny Cannell, Kaylee Hartung back in Clemson, South Carolina. 14-2 lead for the white team. This is the orange team. It's Schussler. There's a penalty flag down. While they sort that out, let's check in with...
Prior to the snap, false start, number 68 offense, 5 yards, still first down.
Now we send it to Kaylee and Sammy Watkins.
Thanks, Carter. Sammy, among the questions people are asking around here, how do you replace yourself and Martavis Bryant? What do you make of what you've seen today on this field from the receivers?
Well, I watched these guys from previous practice, and you see a lot of young guys out there trying to make plays and getting adjusted to the system. And really, I think a lot of those wide receivers out there can make plays that I made, and they're gonna have a great wide receiver core.
Tell us about your preparation now with the draft less than a month away.
It's been very interesting. Been enjoying the process. Haven't worked out for any teams yet. Haven't had that many visits. Only had 2 so far. But I'm just trying to work out, stay in shape, and get ready for OTAs and mini camps.
Now give us your prediction. Which one of your former teammates do you see breaking out this year?
This year, of course, Mike Williams and Chad Kelly, and those type of guys that I've been around and seen them work, and they know what it takes to win games, and they've been in the same situation that I've been in.
As we look at the quarterback battle as well, how do you describe the differences you have seen between Cole and Chad? And tell us if you've been able to spend any time with Deshaun.
Well, Chad, of course, he can do a lot of things at quarterback and run, throw the ball. And you got Cole, that's more of the veteran guy that been coached up by Todd, and he's more of the guy that control the game, possession. And the things I've been hearing about Deshaun, he's very athletic, kind of a little from Cam Newton. He's very smart and a great player.
What is it like for you to be back on this field without your pads on?
It's actually great. The first time watching spring game, and time to just relax and chill and just interact with all the players and coaches.
Sammy Watkins, impressed by the crowd that has come out of Clemson today. Carter?
Yeah, Kaylee, very good crowd on a lovely spring day. I mean, you watched the spring game earlier today in Columbia, and I know no one's been switching over to the Masters in Augusta, but you see the weather right now in Georgia and South Carolina has been terrific this weekend.
It's been perfect. Not a cloud in the sky. Nice little breeze. It is a spring day to speak of.
Sammy Watkins is about to have some life-changing money. I mean, a most likely top 5 pick in the NFL draft.
Yeah, I had the privilege of covering him a couple times here. His freshman year, I was at the Orange Bowl when they had their breakout game against Ohio State. And every time I've seen him play, whether it's in person or on film, he just jumps out at you as a guy who makes plays. And whether it's returning, whether it's, getting the ball and a quick hitch and running with it or catching the ball deep down the field, he just has a knack to find the end zone.
This is the white team offense back on the field, led by Cole Stout, the senior from Ohio, who has a pair of touchdown passes in the game. Stout rolling and throwing, complete to the outside. That's Artavis Scott, the freshman early enrollee, rated the number 9 player in the state of Florida.
This is good opportunity right here. It's a 2-minute drill, something that Cole Stout probably hasn't got to run much, but this is the chance when you learn.
Low snap, Stout flings it complete again. This time it's Leggett who takes it inside the 40-yard line. Stewart on the stop.
This is your chance to kind of learn about clock management, when to call a timeout, when to throw it away, when to throw it toward the sideline, when to take a shot down the middle of the field.
Play action. Stout. Incomplete. Into double coverage, but left it wide in an incomplete pass, stopping the clock with 50, although it's running. It is a spring game, by the way, which means there's all sorts of running clock and not running clock, and now we have a timeout with 47 seconds even after the incompletion.
Which, of course, you wouldn't have to do.
Precisely.
So maybe it's not such a good time to learn the 2-minute drill. You don't want to get misinformed out there.
Yeah, you don't want to have your quarterback taking timeout after an incompletion in the last minute, do you? And they actually are going to reset the clock back to 56 seconds, so more of a clock issue than anything else.
I've done spring games before where, you've done this 2-minute drill and it's been halftime, or you thought it was halftime. They throw back up another minute and say, let's do it again.
Let's do it again.
Yeah. These coaches, they got work to do. They want to teach these guys up.
Mentioned earlier, but there is something on the line in this spring game. The coaches who lose have dorm duty the first week of camp.
Ouch.
The players on the team that loses, they have a 5:30 a.m. workout next week. The winning team gets to skip the 5:30 a.m. workout. So Dabo Swinney set it up to incentivize the winner and make it more of a competition. Stout, home run ball to the end zone, knocked away, intended for Williams, but a flag is down. Pass interference appears to be the call on Marcus Edmond.
Williams had a step past the secondary. Ball a little bit underthrown. See Williams a little bit slow to get up.
Pass interference. Defense, number 29. 15 yards from the previous spot. Automatic first down.
We saw this connection earlier to Mike Williams. You see a clear pass interference call. Pretty easy call for the officials to make there. But I like the chance from Cole Stout to Mike Williams. We talked about the size that Williams has on the outside, 6'3", 205. Throw it up, give him a chance to make a play. A lot of times, you might not get a completion, but something good will happen like that. Well, obviously not, he's hurt, but you get a pass interference.
1st and 10. Clock is rolling again. Stout off the play fake. Tosses it behind him. That was a lateral. Scott hauls it in. A dangerous play from Cole Stout. Scott turns it into a positive, but that was a live football.
That looked a little bit more like Taj Boyd, a little bit more improvisational from Cole Stout, getting outside of the pocket. And this is one, as a coach, you're watching this saying, what are you doing? Why would you flip that over there? And then after that happens, after he makes a miss, you're like, okay, didn't take a sack.
Timeout called by the offense, 11 seconds to go in the half. ESPN News coverage of college baseball continues tonight, 10:30. The upset-minded Wildcats taking on defending champ UCLA. Then it's Texas versus Oklahoma, 3:30 Eastern time on Sunday on ESPNU. Danny, I know you've been making your way around the ACC covering baseball.
Yeah, I was actually here last weekend. Clemson took on NC State. NC State actually won a couple games here, but Jack Leggett's got an outstanding squad, as he usually does here for the Clemson Tigers. And the ACC, one of the top baseball conferences in the country.
Danny and Dari been rolling around the ACC. So a field goal attempt coming. Bradley Pinion's going to come on and attempt the field goal. 37-yarder. It is good. Field goal on the board. That's another big question for Clemson, replacing Taylor Catanzaro as the all-time leading scorer in Clemson. Second all-time leading scorer in the ACC. Pinion knocks that one through from 37. And that's going to be the end of the half. As we mentioned, there's some spring game rules, so let that last 15 seconds just roll off. And a 17-2 lead for the white team on the orange team. Here's Kaylee with Dabo Swinney.
Thanks, Carter. Coach Swinney, in this live action environment, what have you learned about the unknowns on this roster?
Well, I've seen some of the young guys respond. Wayne Gallman is a guy I wanted to kind of see out here in this environment for the first time. I think he's shown up a couple times. We'll see how the quarterbacks, respond. Handle a little bit of adversity. Got a mixed bag up front, and seeing our young tight ends. I've seen J.J. McCullough. I've seen Jordan Leggett. Seen those young secondaries. Adrian Baker coming up with interceptions. So just seeing how these guys respond in this environment. Great crowd out here today. So, good first half. We'll see what happens in the second half.
The defense on both sides brought the pressure. 2 interceptions, a safety in there. What do you make of the chemistry you've seen when you put your defensive line in a new alignment?
Well, I think when we put this group together collectively, we're going to be really good up front. They were really good last year. Everybody's back. But it's fun to watch them today not on the same team split up, because usually they have each other to kind of tap out with, so the depth's not as deep. And just seeing how they handle that, how they respond, because you never know. Guys get hurt. Guys have to play more plays than maybe we'd like for them to. So I think they pushed through for a pretty good first half, and pressure's been good.
Thanks, Coach.
Okay.
Halftime of the 2014 Clemson spring game. Now we send you to Matt Schick and everybody's favorite Buck, Charles Arbuckle.
Thank you, Carter. Yours and mine, yes. 17-2, Clemson up on Clemson at Clemson. Matt Schick along with Charles Arbuckle. No matter the spring game, all focus going to be on the quarterback position, especially where Taj Boyd is gone and Cole Stout, Chad Kelly. Who's it going to be? What have you seen so far?
Well, I've seen a mixed bag. I've seen a couple of guys that Cole Stout has played, fairly well. But Chad Kelly has really struggled. And when you think about it, think about what they lose. They lose a Taj Boyd with 40 starts, 107 touchdowns over his career, 26 rushing touchdowns over his career. You lose a lot of stability and everything you have in that. And Chad Morris wants to go fast, fast, fast. So you can practice this offense. You can go 80 and 90 plays in practice. But when you get into a scrimmage situation, you're seeing that happen. And this defense is really good. So that's also another part that you see. They are getting after the quarterbacks pretty quickly.
Vic Beasley and company perhaps being asked to carry the load a little bit, especially as the team finds its footing on offense early in the season. And when you look at Clemson and their schedule, 2 of the first 3 games, we're going to find a lot about this new look offense and their personnel very early.
You know, right away, you're going to see against Georgia, can they hold up? Because we know Georgia's defense is good. They have a new defensive coordinator to make that defense even better. But offensively, some weapons coming back, guys that were injured last year, and then Florida State, the defending national champion. You know they're going to be a challenge.
Remember last year, Clemson's national title hopes really went up in smoke at home in Death Valley against Florida State. The Seminoles, the defending national champs, their spring game. Jameis Winston, it's just a practice, right?
Fight for each other, 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 fight for each other. What are we? What are we going to do? Win.
Pre-game speech is always easy when you're guaranteed a win. Jameis Winston to Jalen Ramsey with the pick.
You can't throw in the double coverage. 2 guys actually look like they're running in the same area where they shouldn't be. But that's the one thing with Jameis. He gets so hyped sometimes before games. He didn't throw very well in that first half.
Here, Christian Green, touchdown. He actually had to sign an NCAA waiver giving up his mandated off day because he has played baseball or practiced football every day this week. Show you some baseball highlights of the Noles coming up. What do you make of the defending national champs, in particular Jameis Winston here in the spring?
He's playing against a very good defense. In some cases, this may be the best defense he'll see early in the year until they play Clemson. But I think the one thing, too, is that clearly he is spread a little thin. When you're playing baseball every day and you're trying to do football, you can see that there's some things there that aren't quite working as well as we know and he thinks he can do on a consistent basis. Bottom line is you use the spring game as one thing, to see where you are, and then you use after that, because it's really going to be key how much time he's able to get with his receivers and running backs to really get comfortable, because they've lost some weapons. Can he get those guys up to speed, and can he get up to speed with the offense the way Jimbo wants it?
Devontae Freeman gone, Calvin Benjamin gone, some weapons there for that national championship team. Can they repeat? Well, remember, it's not the BCS, it's the top 4 you got to be in for the college football playoff. Can they lose a game on this schedule and still make a 14 playoff?
You know, they can, but it's how many games do they lose and who do they lose to? Because with the new system, we're not sure how everything's going to shake out. But you don't want to lose week 1, and you definitely don't want to lose against Clemson in this 3rd week of the season either.
Or the Citadel, for that matter. So Florida State, Jameis Winston was there in Atlanta yesterday, flew to Tallahassee this morning for the spring game, so he's not there to watch the #1 ranked Florida State Seminole baseball team. There's Daniel Spingola. Georgia Tech was up 5-0 yesterday, won 5-3. They're up 4-0 now. It's much more to nothing now. Mitch Ernest. Ernest goes to left. Georgia Tech takes it 12-4. Take the first 2 games of that series with Florida State. More college baseball coming your way tonight. The defending national champion UCLA Bruins. They have not dropped a conference series to Arizona since 2005. They took the first game of the series, game 2 of the series, coming up tonight, 10:30 p.m. Eastern Time. More college football spring games coming your way. Notre Dame A new-look team, perhaps, but a returning quarterback. Georgia, South Carolina, Ohio State. But it's Clemson, the focus right now. Clemson having its way with Clemson at half. #111th all-time meeting in lacrosse between Maryland and Johns Hopkins. Bill Belichick, New England Patriots head coach, seeing his favorite lacrosse team, Johns Hopkins, and seeing, well, Stanwyck for the goal. Blue Jays really needing a resume builder, and doing it against the #3 team would do it. Stanwyck again, third goal of the game. And then Maryland draws to within 9-6, 3.5 to go. Stanwyck to Ryan Brown, 32nd goal of the season for Brown. Johns Hopkins dead set on not missing the national tournament for the second year in a row. North Carolina and Syracuse hope to get into the national tournament, NCAA tournament. But first things first, positioning for the ACC tournament. Winner gets into the top 4 main portion of that ACC tournament. That's tonight, 6 Eastern, right here on ESPNU. More spring football, SEC style. Mark Richt to Georgia. It's G-Day, means it's a good day. Hudson Mason, the heir apparent to Aaron Murray, Charles.
Yes, great throw, really outstanding catch by Bennett. But the one key thing, they lost 3 offensive linemen, and this is a team that only allowed 22 sacks in 2013.
Mason again rolling out. Chris Conley. A lot of these guys were injured last season at one point or another. Conley back, 6 grabs, $133 or thereabouts. Red team takes down the black team by 3.
The health of Todd Gurley is going to be real key to how well these quarterbacks do next year. Upcoming year.
Filling the shoes of Aaron Murray. No matter what size his feet were, those are gigantic Converse. He set SEC records in completions, passing yards, passing touchdowns, and total offense.
Never easy when you're a young quarterback, but Georgia has some weapons, and Hudson Mason has been around the system. He understands Mark Richt's system, and this is usually, remember at Florida State days when he was there? Guys would be redshirt juniors, sometimes seniors before they played.
Other SEC East spring games, South Carolina, another quarterback to be replaced. Connor Shaw is gone, of course, graduated. Dylan Thompson, though, is there. He's not brand new to this game of football. He's started a few games in his career with South Carolina.
He has, and he's effective when he's throwing to Don Staley, who's wide open, who comes off the sideline. They always have one of these kind of trick plays.
The women's basketball coach, going to be a tough matchup for corners coming up in the fall. Perry Orth, Matrick Belton for the touchdown. Team Black goes on to win. That's 3 straight New Year's Day bowl wins for South Carolina, 3 straight 11-win seasons. Terrific going on there in Columbia. In Notre Dame, though, Malik Zaire, the sophomore, what a game he had. Do we have a quarterback race in South Bend?
You know, sometimes spring games can give young guys a chance to come on the scene, and Malik Zaire was throwing the ball. He was spinning it today.
292 passing yards, a couple of touchdowns. Everett Golson, remember, did not play with the team last year because that poor academic judgment, was off the team there. To Corey Robinson, 43 yards and a touchdown. DJ Howard stopped in the end zone. That's a safety. That's where the 2 comes from on your screen. Second half is coming up. Other spring football highlights for you in Columbus. Quarterback Braxton Miller not playing. That's why he's wearing the headset. Taking it slow. Had minor surgery on his throwing shoulder in February. Certainly a Heisman favorite, though. Rashad Frazier taking advantage of, though, recovering that for a touchdown. J.T. Barrett, the freshman quarterback, not getting much time. Cardell Jones, another freshman quarterback. Yeah, it's just, you know, it's not Braxton Miller.
Yeah, and then watching their defense today, they were really getting after the quarterback. Almost every time whoever was playing the quarterback position dropped back, both defenses were just getting after.
All right, let's stick in the Big Ten. And Nebraska, there's Bo Pelini leading his team out of the tunnel holding a cat. The backstory to that, there's a Twitter account, Faux Pelini, otherwise known as Fake Bo Pelini. It's a picture of Bo, a fake picture of him photoshopped holding a cat. Bo has embraced this and is now holding the cat here, and the players behind him were meowing as they came out onto the field, Charles.
Spring game gives you a chance to do some different things.
Some other tigers. Tigers are cat, from the cat family, aren't they? Jordan Leggett, touchdown grab, second half coming up.
Welcome back to the Clemson Spring Game 2014, the ACC on ESPN from Memorial Stadium in Clemson, South Carolina. Carter Blackburn, Danny Cannell, Kaylee Hartung. A 17-2 advantage for the white team on the orange team. A pair of touchdown passes by Cole Stout. So it's a three-way race for quarterback. Now, poor Nick Schuessler has not been mentioned as a possible starter for the Clemson Tigers. He's been the backup on both sides, and he's been solid for both teams today. It's Kelly Stout and Deshaun Watson, who's not playing in this spring game because of an injury. But the two big numbers are TDs and INTs, giving Stout the advantage on Kelly.
And that's one thing that'll separate a guy in a quarterback race, a guy who can protect the football. But I think the one thing to remember, if you're sitting here penciling in Stout as the starter, these guys have gone back and forth. They've been blow for blow. So, a couple practices, a guy might separate himself, then all of a sudden the other guy would make a counter. So I think, before you start going and christening somebody the starting quarterback at Clemson, there is a lot of time before that week 1 game.
Well, for more, we check in with Kaylee Hartung.
Carter, Chad Morris told me he's seen the consistency that he wanted to out of Cole Stout. As for Chad Kelly, following those 2 interceptions, he did say he's been up and down. He's seen that range of emotions, but was pleased with the composure that he felt he gathered. As for those conversations he's been having on the sideline with Deshaun Watson, he said he has asked some veteran questions about the reads, about the second-level reads, really enjoying that time as he expected it would with Deshaun Watson. Carter.
Thank you very much, Kaylee Hartung. So, Kelly, the sophomore from Niagara Falls, New York, mentioned earlier he's the nephew of Jim Kelly, the Pro Football Hall of Fame quarterback of the Bills. Jim Kelly is preparing for cancer treatment. I'm sure many of you have followed Jim Kelly's battle against cancer, and Chad Kelly, as Jim Kelly's nephew, has very much been involved in that with the family. And Jim Kelly has been extremely supportive of Chad and the Clemson football program, even from the moment where he was being recruited. So that is the opening half kickoff from Lakeup, and we're ready to play ball. The second half from Clemson, South Carolina. It'll be the white team offense getting the football first. Again, Stout's been the starter for the white team offense. Nick Schuessler is actually backing up on both sides. So it will be the white team offense out there first.
Austin McCaskill at quarterback now. I think we're starting to see some deeper guys on the depth chart, which is pretty much the game plan coming in, was to let the top tier guys, the first 2 on the depth chart, play the first half, let some of the third teamers and younger guys play the second half.
Austin McCaskill completes that outside to Jordan Leggett. Austin McCaskill, junior from Easley, South Carolina. So again, spring game and opportunity to get guys down the depth chart, some action in front of the fans. That's Williams, Hamid Williams, the sophomore running back, who takes it on third down to convert.
And this is that point when, if you're a first or second teamer, you're a guy that's, entrenched as a starter, you're still very vested in this game because of what's at stake. You don't want to run. You don't want to have to do conditioning drills at 5:30 a.m. next week. And I promise you, the coaches, they don't want to have dorm duty.
That's Leggett, who makes the catch and gets across the 45 for a first down. Jordan Leggett.
Do you know what dorm duty is specifically?
Tell me.
Well, every team has a camp in the summer where you have, young youth football players come, and they'll stay overnight at the dorms. So somebody has to account for them. Somebody has to keep curfew. And so it usually is, some of the assistant coaches. And if they happen to lose this game, they will be there checking the curfew and probably ensuring that they're waking up, too, in the morning. So
very important
when they could
job.
be at home with their families at 11 o'clock at night, probably, and getting a good night's sleep, instead they would be roaming the dorms.
Coach Sweeney mentioned he divided the entire football staff, janitors and everybody else, between the two teams this week, between the white team and the orange team. I wonder if everybody in the football building has to show up for the dorm
duty.
Yeah, dorm duty. whether it's just the coaching staff. Third down and 3 here for the white team offense. Gaskell at quarterback. Completes. First down. It's another completion to Seconder.
This offensive unit for the white squad has found a little bit of rhythm right here. With McCaskill at the helm. Because it was sloppy the first half offensively. The white got it going in the second quarter, but it was a little bit sloppy.
Gaskell, the junior from Easley, South Carolina, Wren High School, flings it to the outside. That's complete. Kyron Priester, one of the early enrollees from Lilburn, Georgia, spent a year at Fork Union Military Academy, 6'1" wide receiver. Inside the 30-yard line, opening drive for the white team offense.
One of the things we've talked a lot about Chad Morris's offense. Well, he's actually taken a hands-off approach and letting some of his assistants call the plays. See him back there in the backfield having a conversation, but he said, hey, I'm going to let his running backs coach Tony Elliott for the white squad, and Jeff Scott, the wide receivers coach for the other side. He said, Dabo Sweeney said, hey, it's a good chance for me to evaluate some of the assistants.
On third down, Gaskell nearly gives a souvenir to one of these spring game attendees. Intended for Ryan. So a field goal attempt coming. Robbie Lohman. The kick is no good. 43-yard attempt from Lohman, misses from 42. Again, that job expected to be Ammon Lacob taking over Canzero, the school's all-time leading scorer. So the 43-yarder no good. We'll see the orange team offense back on the field up next.
We were talking about ACC baseball, that little rise from the crowd. It was just announced that UVA was upset, one of the top teams in the country. Clemson beat them 7-1 this afternoon, just finished.
That evens the series in Charlottesville,
Yep.
I believe, Danny.
Yep. Rubber game will be tomorrow.
Nick Schuessler back in at quarterback for the orange team offense. He's joined in the backfield by Kurt Fleming. There's a toss inside. Daniel Rodriguez straight ahead. Rodriguez ridden out of bounds. So Rodriguez on the sweep. Talked all about his story. He's 26 years old. He's here on the GI Bill. Danny, you pointed out, not just a terrific story. He has a chance to be an impact football player for the Tigers in 2014. Kurt Fleming delivers a blow. That's the 21-year-old true freshman who played 3 years in the Braves and Mariners organizations. Lays a lick on Dorian O'Daniel.
That was a forearm shiver right there.
That's a guy who's done with baseball and's got the pads back on. Originally planned on football at Army, then signed as an 8th-round pick out of high school, and now finally on the football field with Clemson. Schuessler, deep shot, downfield, incomplete. Intended for Adam Humphries. Tankersley there in coverage.
Was solid coverage by Tankersley, but I love the way Humphries kind of tried to set him up. Just a hair, like almost slowed down and then sped up at the last minute to try to get Tankersley off of him, but well covered. That was another one of the corners that the staff was big on.
You have Cordrea Tankersley back there at corner. Gary Peters is his teammate on the white team defense. Martin Jenkins out right now with a shoulder injury. And Mackenzie Alexander, highly regarded freshman. Ryan Carter all in that cornerback battle for the Clemson Tigers.
This has been the story of the day for this defensive front. They have been in the backfield of the offense all afternoon. We saw the first contact just registered, number 45, coming in through there, making a big hit. Didn't come down with him, but man, that'll throw it back off his track.
Third and 10. Schuessler chased out of the pocket, downfield again. It's incomplete. Wide receiver McLean was ridden out of bounds. Fourth down. So Schuessler 6 for 9. Again, he's bounced back and forth between the two teams. He's 6 for 9, 59 yards. He stalled a punt, hits it right around the 25. Fair catch right around the 25. When we come back to Memorial Stadium, Kaylee Hartung will visit with Clemson Athletics Director Dan Radakovich. ESPN is the home of the new college football playoff. For the first time, the top 4 teams in the country will meet beginning with the semifinals. The college football playoff, New Year's Day, exclusively on ESPN. And one of the members of the selection committee that will determine who plays in the semifinals, Dan Radakovich, Clemson Athletic Director, with Kaylee Hartung.
Thank you, Carter. Well, Dan, it certainly feels like football is here, but what interaction have you committee members had up to this point?
Well, the committee has met 3 times. We've really started to look at all the tools that will be available for us as we look to make our decisions come the fall. We've looked at some video options, some analytics, and then we've been discussing a lot of the day-to-day operations as to how we'll actually come forward and make the decision. But the committee is just an incredible group of people. They're all in it for the right reasons. They're great college football fans and want to make sure that we make the best decision to get the 4 best teams into the college football semifinals.
How do you personally plan to prepare for that decision-making process?
Well, there's going to be a lot of tools, as I said, available to us, and I'm going to have to just segment some time. I'm really lucky to have a great staff of people around me to help continue to have Clemson go forward on a day-to-day basis. But you'll think at least a day or 2 days out of the week you're going to really dedicate yourself to that once the film comes in, and be able to take some time and really analyze it before we go to our meetings each and every week.
Now, unfortunately, we won't have cameras in those rooms with you. We won't be able to hear those discussions. But what are some of the biggest challenges you anticipate while you all are in the room together making these decisions?
Well, I think that everyone's going to look at it a little differently, and I think that's really the real positive of the way Bill Hancock and the group put that group together. I don't know what challenges will be ahead, but I think there's some really smart people in that room, and they're going to bring a different viewpoint, with the goal being to make sure that the 4 best teams at the end of the year are in those semifinals and have a chance to play for a national championship.
And back here at Clemson, it was a year and a half ago that the football team began to use a new $10 million indoor facility. Now you all are in the middle of an $180 million renovation across all sports. Give us a state of affairs here at Clemson.
Well, things are going great. We are moving forward with some work at our baseball facility, which will start in June. We're about to hire architects to redo the suites and the club areas here in Memorial Stadium, as well as finish out the west end zone. And then a rebuild of Littlejohn Coliseum is also right at this point of hiring the architects and contractors. As soon as those are done, we'll look at an operations center for football, a tennis facility, and a redo of our academic success center. So all of those things pulled together are really going to keep us busy for the next 3 to 4 years.
And you all have extended Dabo Swinney's contract to 2020. How do you characterize the commitment you all have to him and your relationship with him in this football program?
Well, Dabo is so much more than a football coach. He and his wife Kathleen, as evidenced last evening by their all-in ball, are great representatives of Clemson into the community. So we're excited about he and Kathleen and their family staying here through 2020, and as a campus community, we couldn't be prouder to have him as our head coach.
Dan Radakovich, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Carter.
Thank you, Kaylee. Thank you, Dan. We had a chance to visit with Dan at the half as well about the meetings already from the selection committee. I mean, beyond just the discussion of who the 4 teams are going to be playing in the semifinal, I would love to be in that room with selection committee members discussing a lot of the issues around college sports, as you know they are as well.
I would too. I would love to be a little fly on the wall in those discussions when they take place. I mean, I think, of course, the discussion is going to be, is the 5th team deserving of getting in that spot, maybe potentially even a 6th team in that top 4. It's college football. Fans are passionate. People are going to disagree. But I think those 12 people in that room are going to do an outstanding job with it.
This is Cole Stout leading the white team offense right now for the Clemson Tigers.
That doesn't mean we'll all sing their praises about the decision, but...
And we just came out of the NCAA basketball tournament where you got 68 on the men's side, 64 on the women's side. And whoever that 65th team is on the women's 69 team on...
They're always upset.
They're upset just like the number 5 team is going to be upset this year. And every year.
I cannot wait, though, to see the college football playoff, to see the spectacle, the passion, just how big it's going to be.
And I love the big semifinal games on New Year's Day. The best sports days of the year. And that will roll into the end zone for a touchback. 17-2 lead for the white team. Orange team here at Clemson. After the teams have run down from Howard's Rock, then it's time to get the boxes, just basic cardboard boxes. We always use pizza boxes back at Andler Stadium in Kerrville, Texas. There's Wayne Gallman breaking away. The redshirt freshman from Loganville, Georgia. Dabo Swinney says he is a violent runner.
Remember at halftime he was talking to Kaylee before he went in. He was impressed with what he had seen in the first half. I think he's going to like where he picked up in the second half. Wayne Gallman. I tell you, this backfield is deep. They have several threats back there.
You know, when you talk about Clemson and replacing Taj Boyd, Sammy Watkins, the two biggest on the list, but that running back position is open, but doesn't seem to be a concern with the way we've seen the guys run the football today. Schuessler completes. That's Greenlee who makes the grab. So Gallman among those in the mix to be the featured running back for the Clemson Tigers.
It's going to be a fun race to watch unfold. I think Chad Morris is going to figure out a way to get two of these guys in the field at the same time.
You have Adam Choice coming in too, the cousin of Tashard Choice, the Georgia Tech star. He expects to be a part of that, as does Tyshawn Dye, a redshirt freshman who had an injured ACL, but there are some really talented running backs in the stable for the Tigers. Wayne Gallman went to Grayson High School, Loganville, Georgia. His high school coach, Mickey Kahn, was Dabo Swinney's roommate at Alabama when they played for Gene Stallings. Schuessler, that's caught, that's Gallman, he stays on his feet, shakes his way inside the 25. Wayne Gallman showing off his skills out of the backfield.
Presence of mind, that ball was hung out. It's one of those toughest ones for a back to catch out of the backfield. Knowing you're going to get hit, not only did he catch the ball, but he made the defender miss and picked up some great yardage.
13-yard pickup for the redshirt freshman. Schuessler and the orange offense driving. Nick Schuessler pressured. It's a flag down. After the hold, Schuessler and the orange offense backed up to run around the 35. Credit Tavares Barnes with the pressure. Schuessler pressured again, steps up. He was touched. That counts as a sack for Grady Jarrett, the senior from Conyers, Georgia.
If you would put one thing that would concern me the most about this Clemson offense, quarterbacks, yeah, they've been a little bit shaky, but it wouldn't be the quarterbacks. The running backs, we've seen a lot of production out of them. Receivers will take care of itself. It's the offensive line. They have really struggled today to put it together. Now, granted, they're playing with, centers on one side, the starting center. You've got tackles all over the place. Just kind of a mismatched unit up front, which is always a challenge for the offensive line. But in a lot of one-on-one battles, guys are just getting beat on the outside. Perfect example right there.
Flag down. Schuessler's pass is incomplete, intended for Moss. But again, there's a flag down. Aaron Kearse, the free safety and nephew of Javon, knocks it away.
It's going to be a hold, I believe, in the backfield. Shaq Anthony, left tackle, got beat going around the side.
Illegal contact, hands to the face, number 76. That penalty's declined. 4th down.
Well, it wasn't a hold. He was all up in the defender's grill.
That's Shaq Anthony. You talk about the tackle concerns for the Clemson Tigers. Well, Shaq Anthony is one of the players, one of 4, suspended for the opener versus Georgia. So even if you resolve the issue at right tackle, which is one of the positions open for competition. You still are going into the opener against Georgia at Georgia without your starting left tackle. Lacob on for the field goal attempt. And Lacob's kick is no good. That's 53 yards for Lacob, who came to Clemson as a soccer recruit out of Chattahoochee High School, same as Charlie Whitehurst and Mark Buchholz, who played both soccer and football for the Tigers. So the white team offense back out on the field. There's Artavis Scott on the sweep across the 50. Scott still going, tripped up. He's rolling inside the 35-yard line. Artavis Scott, the early enrollee, highly recruited player out of Florida, shows off the wheels.
Yeah, Artavis Scott taking to the left side, little speed sweep. Gets to the outside, picks up a nice couple blocks. He was leading the way there too. C.J. Davidson, earlier we saw him in the backfield running the rock. And I tell you what, some explosive weapons you're starting to see in the skill positions.
Davidson stopped for a loss. Scott picks up 33 on that run.
And on to D.J. Howard, 7 yards, 2nd and 9.
Davidson's going to check out.
Brought down by Corey Crawford.
And that's going to be the final play of the third quarter.
That's the end of the third quarter with
A 17-2 lead for the white team on the orange team. So perhaps an early morning workout coming for the orange team. One of the fun things when we get to talk to the players at the various places we go, we get to ask them, all right, Adam Humphries, senior wide receiver, can you tell us about one of your teammates? Can you tell us maybe something that we can bag on him on the air and have some fun with? He immediately went to Ryan Norton, the junior center. Humphries said that Norton, especially when they were younger as freshmen, when Adam's mom would send a gift pack, which included a bunch of cookies, Ryan Norton said he would plow through his mom's snacks, including his mom's cookies, so much so that Adam Humphries, when the gift packs would arrive with these special cookies from his mom, Adam would have to shove them under his bed to keep them away. I mean, I guess that's what happens when you live with an offensive lineman, right?
Yep.
For more on snacks and cookies, here's Kaylee Hartung.
Carter Blackburn, that is one of the best tosses I have ever received in a football game. I can report that, in fact, though Adam's parents are here from Spartanburg, South Carolina, to watch him play, his mom did not bring a batch of her homemade cookies.
Hopefully our viewers
she's tired of not her son doesn't get to eat them.
Hopefully our viewers aren't tossing their cookies after that exchange. Fourth quarter, we anticipate a running clock here. It's the white team offense. Cole Stout back out there at quarterback, and he flings it complete to Stanton Seckinger, the junior from Porter God School, Isle of Palms.
Just watching Cole Stout run this offense, looks very comfortable, knows where he's going with the football, an excellent manager of the game. And I hate when that's a knock against somebody, but you can just tell he knows the system better than anybody else because he's played in it longer than the younger guys.
Stout already has a pair of touchdowns in this game. Trying to lead another one here. Hands off. DJ Howard breaks a tackle, stretches for a touchdown. DJ Howard, the senior from Lincoln, Alabama. 13-yard touchdown run.
You want a running back that can lower his shoulder and get those tough yards and who can run guys over. And that's what DJ Howard did on that touchdown run. Right there. See number 15, TJ Green, come up, try to make that tackle, and you better get your pads low if you see DJ Howard coming at you.
The PAT is good. The white team, a 24-2 lead. 9 carries, 59 yards, and a touchdown for DJ Howard. He's coming back from the ankle and shoulder injuries that bothered him last year.
You know, as tough as we've been on the offensive line, pass protection, they've done a pretty good job in the running game, creating some holes for these backs to run through.
For example,
here's a look at the pit. See the center and right guard seal off the tackle. Got a little bit helped by the number 46, the linebacker, took a poor angle through that hole. And if you're a running back, that's all you want is a one-on-one matchup against a safety where you can make him miss an open field or run him over.
Later tonight on ESPNU, the last team standing battle on the lanes in Wickliffe, Ohio, to determine the top bowling program in the nation, the NCAA Women's Bowling Championship, presented by Northwestern Mutual. Tonight, 8 Eastern, ESPNU. It's also live if you have Saturday night plans. You can catch it on Watch ESPN.
What is your high bowling score anyway?
Double digits.
that's strong right there.
Double digits.
You know, everybody I ever played with in the NFL, the guys that were good were the Northerners. The guys that lived where they couldn't go outside.
Of course.
I grew up in Florida. I was outside all the time.
Zach Brooks shaking his way to the 38. Our colleague Allison Williams, who's from Michigan, pretty solid bowler.
Comes with the territory up there.
I'm related to a member of the Bowling Hall of Fame. First down and 10. First and 10 from the Orange team offense. Schuessler sells it. Downfield incomplete. Let's check in with Kaylee for more on bowling.
Carter, I'm sure Allison Williams is a fantastic bowler, but I would like the chance for a challenge.
Done. Done. We'll arrange it. Done.
I think a better matchup would be Allison and Kaylee versus me and you. We might get smoked, though.
maybe arrange it for the football seminar.
Yeah.
There's Zach Brooks taking the handoff on the stretch.
Handoff to Zach Brooks. Pickup of 7 yards on the play, 33.
Zach Brooks, the junior from Jonesboro, Arkansas. Struggled with a shoulder injury last year. Mentioned he had the touchdown grab in the win over Georgia. Thought it was interesting. We're talking with Dabo Swinney about the big wins in 2013. He said the one that he thought was maybe the most important win, not Ohio State in the Orange Bowl, not Georgia, but at Maryland the week after the blowout loss to Florida State.
It's so tough, you know, for a team. You had high expectations. You beat Georgia, you know, right to open the season. Then you had a tough loss at home. And there's always that fear. Every coach you'll talk to, it's kind of that hangover effect. And it can happen either over a really big win or a really big loss. And that was a tough loss for Clemson. And they went up there and slogged it around a little bit early, and it was kind of ugly, but they managed to win it, kind of get back on track and set them up for a strong finish to the season.
One hits right around the 31. It's going to roll inside the 25. But speaking of Georgia, it is at Georgia to open up 2014. Look at the first 3 games on the schedule, 2 of them on the road, at Georgia, at Florida State to begin the year.
Those 2 are going to be just unbelievable games. You're going to see atmosphere. Georgia's going to want revenge for last year at Florida State. Florida State's going to be hoping for a repeat. But I will say this, first 3 games, incredibly tough. Once they get through there, though, it's not that bad, where they could get back on track and be one of those teams that really finishes strong again. And I think it's going to be a challenge for them no matter who the quarterback. And this three quarterback race could go all the way through that Florida State game until somebody separates themselves.
And oh, by the way, that's Louisville now in the Atlantic Division as well. So
with no Teddy Bridgewater, though, and a new coach. I mean, there are a lot of question marks about Louisville.
Stout back in at quarterback. Hamid Williams first down carry. Nothing much doing there. We're talking about Clemson and where they are. I mean, a tremendous run over the last 3 years. A BCS win last season. They've had BCS games 2 out of the last 3 years. 3 straight years of double-digit wins. But as SI's Andy Staples put it this way, a top 10 program that is neither the best in its own state nor the best in its own division, with Florida State in the same division as the Clemson Tigers. I mean, that's the cold-eyed judgment of Andy Staples, but it's the reality for Clemson. I mean, clearly, when it's 5 straight for South Carolina over the Clemson Tigers, that's something Dabo Swinney says they live with every day, the 5 straight for the Gamecocks.
I mean, your rival, that's the one game. Your alums want to beat your boosters. Everybody writes the checks. They want to see that game won. And it's gotten pretty spirited. I mean, these guys are talking smack back and forth. But you got to win that. You got to break that streak if you're a Clemson Tiger.
Stout downfield. It's incomplete. Almost picked off by Mackenzie Alexander. Did you say it's gotten entertaining? I mean, Dabo's saying they ain't Alabama. They ain't LSU. And they're certainly not Clemson. That's why Carolina's in Chapel Hill, USC's in California, and the university in this state always has been, always will be Clemson. You can print that, tweet that, whatever. And we did.
Yep. Him and the old ball coach trade some barbs. I think they can go at it toe for toe as far as quotes that you want.
No question of the entertaining tete-a-tete between those two has been interesting to watch these past few years, as both have been, and that's what of course makes it a rivalry. Both have had terrific runs of success. It is a long and storied series history in the Palmetto Bowl, but the big one is Clemson 5 straight losses to the Gamecocks for the first time in series history. But when you're meeting up as both the ranked in the top 10, that's when things get really interesting, and you're competing between the recruits. I mean, even a guy like Adam Humphries, a senior wide receiver, said, I was definitely a South Carolina Gamecock fan. We kind of pulled that out of him, but he came to a Clemson game in the 9th grade, began being recruited by Clemson, and he and his entire family switched allegiances, which has to happen every now and then in recruiting.
The thing that's unbelievable about that streak, Clemson losing 5 in a row, if you look, first time in series history, you would think if you just saw that stat, well, Clemson must have been awful the last 5. Clemson's been really good.
Absolutely.
They're just playing at a time right now when South Carolina is also really good.
South Carolina will be breaking in a relatively new quarterback this year, and Dylan Thompson taking over for Connor Shaw, obviously losing to Davian Clowney. Kurt Fleming, the converted baseball player, goes rolling inside the 20-yard line. Off the diamond and onto the gridiron, Kurt Fleming.
How about Kurt Fleming showcasing some speed, a huge hole he takes it through. How about the club on his left hand? I mean, he's got a huge cast on there. And I'm telling you, this backfield is deep.
A 49-yard pickup with a former farmhand.
It's a weapon he's got on his left hand.
Yeah, he was an 8th-round pick out of high school, played in both the Braves and Mariners organizations. Trying to put the orange team in the end zone. Schuessler, incomplete. A little too hot for Sean McClain.
That would have been a circus catch by Sean McClain had he been able to hang on to that. Now the orange team basically playing for respect right now because they're going to hear about this. They're trying to make it respectable to score.
Schuessler on 2nd and 10. To the end zone again. Incomplete. 3rd down.
Pass intended for number 89, J.J. McCullough.
Schuessler, the sophomore, who originally signed with Mississippi State, came to Clemson, sat out a year as a redshirt. Been solid in the backup role today for both teams. Pressure coming on 3rd down. Schuessler pumps. He is touched.
He got called for a sack, though.
He did. Throws the touchdown pass, but a sack is called.
That's the one the players are begging the officials. Come on, just let that one stand.
Now that's Chris Register, number 45, who's credited with the sack. He is one of the early enrollees. And Chris Register has the...
He's played pretty well. He had a couple plays in the backfield.
I was trying to come up with
there.
the right word, not honor, but the distinction. He's the one who put the hit on Deshaun Watson. Cracked his collarbone, and they're roommates. So Register in that live scrimmage earlier this week knocked out Watson for the spring game. Again, Watson expects to be back in the next couple of weeks. There's Lacob from 39. Sneaks it in there. The first offensive points on the board for the Orange team come from Ammon Lacob, the junior kicker, taking over. Chandler Catanzaro, the all-time leading scorer for Clemson.
Deshaun Watson and Chris Register, roommates, have a lot of smack talk. I think people would be shocked, Carter, if you knew the factions within a team and how much smack is talked, whether it's the freshman class versus the sophomore class, whether it's, when I was at Florida State, it was kind of Dade County versus Broward County. You know, all these different little things, just any way to talk smack to your guys on your team to create some sort of competition. But it was great. Everybody loved it. You're always competing for something.
Speaking of competition, you and we had a good discussion with Coach Sweeney earlier today about your idea. I'll just go ahead and give you credit for it.
Sure.
Your idea, rather than having a spring inter-squad scrimmage, have maybe an FCS opponent come and play the big-time powerhouse FBS opponent and make it more of an informal, but maybe more of a formal game that way.
Well, I think you give exposure to an FCS program. Say a Furman, your Clemson, it's not that far away. Bring them in, let them practice for a few days, and then have a scrimmage against them. And you can do it exactly the way they did today. Have a full first half. Don't hit the quarterbacks, because I think the games that you see regular season are going to start to go away. Because of the strength of schedule is going to matter. And those games get so ugly, it's just ridiculous. Nobody wants to watch those. Nobody even wants to go, travel to see them, or they want to watch them on TV. But I think they would, because the expectations are different in spring. You're seeing position battles. You just want to see a product because people are starving for football. And I think it's great exposure for some of the FCS programs that would get to play on national TV.
Well, Dabo Sweeney said, I would love to bring Furman over here for a game like that in the spring.
I've talked to a couple coaches about it, and they all love it. So I just need to figure out how do we get this ball rolling, because I haven't heard any of them complain about it.
Dabo also points out that college basketball does a similar thing where they'll have two teams meet up for a scrimmage at a neutral location. Those media is not allowed into those scrimmages before the season, but it's a chance to get your guys versus another team.
And it's tough to evaluate your offensive line, like in this game, because you're switching them around. You're trying to make it even. There you can go with your starters. Let them play. And you'll see new coverages. You'll see different types of blitzes that you wouldn't see against your own team. It's just a good opportunity to evaluate.
That inside give to Hamid Williams. Running clock, we're down to 4:25 left in the 2014 Clemson spring game. Carter Blackburn, Danny Cannell, Kaylee Hartung, entire hard-working crew. That pass is caught on the outside by Seckinger. And the completion from Austin McCaskill.
Gain of 3 yards on the play, 4th and 1.
Fourth and 1 coming. McCaskill hands off. Williams stood up. Didn't get there. So that appears to be a stop for the Orange team defense. All right. 24-5. The Orange team offense gets it back. 3 minutes to go. Running clock. Can the Orange team offense get it in the end zone to close out the day at Memorial Stadium?
That's the question. All they want to do is score a touchdown. And I promise you, the White defense, they want to try to make sure they don't give up a touchdown. They'd love to get out of here. Only a field goal given up.
Pressure coming on Schuessler. Hands off. Gallman gets to the outside again. This time he's dropped by Robert Smith, the senior safety. Pressure again. Schuessler over the middle.
Hey, that's a white jersey.
Yes, indeed it is.
But it was his own guy.
It is caught.
Now we're going really mismatched rosters right now.
That's Dane Rogers just trying to get a little run before the end of the game. Nice catch, Dane Rogers.
You know why he was open, though, is the defense is probably saying, I don't have to cover that guy.
That's Gallman, and he is dropped immediately by Kevin Dodd. All right, Danny. Minute 30, running clock. Orange team's trying to get in the end zone. But overall impressions of the 2014 Clemson Tigers through this spring game?
I think we've reiterated what we said the open, that this is going to be a really strong defensive team. The defense looks great. They've got some playmakers. Quarterback, I think, things still have to shake out. I think there's a long way to go. I think Stout definitely looked the best today, but there's a lot of time. I think we'll see that play itself out. But the skill positions really impressed me. I mean, running back and wide receiver, we've seen some plays made. And then I would have a concern about the offensive line.
So if you're a Clemson fan going into the opener at Georgia with Florida State in Tallahassee, a couple weeks behind that, the biggest cause for concern, not really QB, but
it would be offensive line. Yeah, because if you're dealing with a young quarterback, a young guy, which is going to, or a first-year starter, you need to protect him, give him a chance to succeed.
Schuessler to the end zone. It's incomplete. Stout goes 15 of 23, 158, couple of touchdowns. Kelly 10 for 18, but 2 interceptions, both in the first half, 1 at the goal line.
And who knows, maybe the guy that's starting week 1 is the guy we didn't get to see today, and Deshaun Watson.
Final play. Schuessler to the end zone. It's incomplete, and there's your final score. The white team 24, the orange team 5. For Danny Cannell, Kaylee Hartung, our entire hardworking crew, I'm Carter Blackburn. 24-5, the final score here in Clemson. The 2014 Clemson spring game goes to the white team, 24-5.